Good evening, everyone. We'll get started. I think we have got a good quorum. We have 6 people, so I think we can get started. Okay. So let me share my screen. Okay. So as usual, any question before we begin? Good evening, everyone. We'll get started. I think we have got a good quorum. We have 6 people, so I think we can get. So in the last class, we discussed about, you know, functions and modules, right? We discussed about function and modules. So today we'll talk about class and objects. Okay. Okay. So we'll talk about class and objects. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Great. So we're talking about class and objects today. Okay. Okay. So we'll discuss class and objects. Okay. So what is a class? Okay. See, we have discussed about different types of variables so far, right? We discussed about integer, float, okay, Boolean, right? String. We did list, tuple, all those things, right? So of course, all those things are your variables. And we also discussed about different functions in the last class, isn't it? We discussed about functions in the last class. Okay, and we saw different types of functions, how to use. We even saw in the yesterday how to use functions as a variables, right? So of course, all these are usage of our functions. Now, if you put them together and give it a name, that's what class is about. Okay, so class is okay, nothing but it's a group name that we give to the functions, okay, and variables that we put together. Okay, so let's create a simple class, okay, and we'll also start using it. Okay, so let me say I create a class here called class say student. Let's say I say class student. So how do we declare? We say class, okay, we give the class key name followed by class name. Okay, class key, the keyword class followed by the class name. Okay, so this is the name. Every class you have to give a name, and generally, okay, generally we give class name as capital letters. Okay, not mandatory. It's not mandatory, but generally we give class name as capital letters. Okay. Okay, so yes, class name, and then we put colon here. Okay, so I have created a class called called student, and here I'll be giving my functions. So let me write a function called def print info. Okay, def print info. So def print info is a function that I'm writing inside this class. Okay. So function which is independent, which is outside any class, is called function itself. But functions which we put inside the class, we call it as method. Okay. So method is nothing but function itself, which is declared as part of a class. Okay. As part of a class. So this is the function I'm declaring as part of a class here. Okay. And now I will add, okay, body to this class. Now you see, the moment I said, bracket open, PyCharm will automatically add self. Okay. So, okay. So PyCharm is clever. So it has already added. But if you are doing on a different platform where it did not add self, you should add it. Okay. So every method, okay, there are two types of method. Okay. We discussed about class, isn't it? Class is just a collection. And you have something called as object. Okay. So this is how, I treat class and objects. Okay. Let's say if I tell you apple, right? So apple, if I ask you, do you know apple? Your answer will be yes, right? Everybody knows apple, right? So apple is a class. But if I tell you I'm eating an apple, okay, so I'm eating an object of apple class. Okay, so class is just the definition. Okay, apple is just the definition. And if you are holding one apple, you're talking about a specific object or specific apple. It becomes an object. Okay, so object is nothing but usage of the class. Okay, so when you want to use class, we call object, right? So how many apples were you taught in school? Only one, right? Only one type of school, apple were taught in the class, right? In the school, right? So you'll have only one type of class. But how many apple you have eaten in your life? Of course, tens and hundreds of apples you'd have eaten, and of course, tens and hundreds of apple you eat. So the class is declared once, but when you're using it, you can use it multiple times. You can use it multiple times. Okay. So you're using object, and every object is unique. Class is same, right? You will not say, give me, apple A or apple B. You'll say, give me apple. But the one that you buy, when you're using it, it becomes unique. So that's how, your class and objects are different. When you're using a specific apple, it becomes object. When you are talking about generic definition apple, that, I have got an apple tree, or yesterday I bought apple, or I'm going to drink apple juice today, or okay, whatever you're talking about, generic apple, it is the definition class. But when you're talking about the specific thing, I'm holding an apple, I ate apple yesterday, right? Those are your, okay, object. So if you want to create a function which is unique, which has to be unique for every object, okay, we call it as object function or methods. Okay, the functions which you want it to be common for all the apple. Okay, then it has to be class level apple, right? Or class level method, or class level variable also. Same thing. Okay, because class is a collection of variables and functions. So you can have object level functions and you can have class level functions. So I'll give an example of class level. Okay, if I ask you, how many students are in the class? How many students are in the class right now? Right? If I ask this question. Now, in this case, okay, if whether I say or whoever says, right, we'll have same answer. Correct? Now, right now I can say 8 people. So whoever it is, you or me, right, we will say 8 people, right? Because, okay, It is common. It is for everyone to see. So when you're talking about population, how many, okay, it is a class level thing, okay, which is common for everyone. Questions or answer which are common for everyone is called class level. Now in object level, okay, if I ask you, okay, you say that let's say if you say that I bought an apple yesterday or I ate an apple yesterday. So my question would be, which apple did you eat? Was it a Fiji apple? Was it a Kashmiri apple? Was it a Washington apple? What apple did you eat? Now I'm talking about something which is specific to that apple, not common for every apple. That is an object level. How many apples did you buy? Okay, or what is the production of apple in this world? Okay, then it is a generic, which is class level. How many? What was the production of apple in the world in month of let's say August, right? So that is a class level. Okay, I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about everything. But if I say, which apple did you eat? What was the size? What was the weight? What was the price? So I'm talking about specific apple which you ate yesterday. I'm not talking about anything. Now, if I'm talking to you, of course, only you can answer. I cannot answer that, or somebody else cannot answer that. So it is important to understand the members, okay, which are different between your, okay, your class and your object. Okay, your class and your object. Okay, okay, because the values would change, right? Values would change. It is unique. It is different for different object. The apple that you ate and what I ate is different. Okay, so understand the difference between class and object. Object is that specific thing that you're using, and I'm talking about it, right? Apple that you ate, that that is you're holding, that you're looking, whatever. A generic apple, apple as a family, that becomes a class level. So print info, I want to make it as a specific to object. That's what self indicates. Self indicates this method is object level. This method is object level. Okay, this method is object level. Any questions so far, guys? All good? Okay. So now if I say here, print, I am being called from an object. Okay, I am being called from an object. Okay, so this is function, class definition. Class has this function. So of course, function definition. Now I run this. Of course, nothing will happen, right? You're running it, so nothing will happen because we are not we are not calling it, right? We are running it, but we haven't really executed or called it. So now to call it, I have to create an object. I have to create an object. What is that object? Okay, so I'm going to say S1, okay, equal to, okay, S1 equal to your class name. S1 is the object name. You can give any object name. S1 is your object name. You can give any object name, right? Whatever you want to give. And I'm saying S1 is like a variable, right? So it's an object here of type student. So I'm saying S1 equal to student, bracket, open and close. Bracket, open and close. Okay. Now when I run it, okay, so object is created. Now, but I need to call this function, isn't it? Okay. So we have already seen how to call this function in string and list and dictionary. We say object name dot function name, isn't it? We have done that before. Now this function doesn't take anything. Self, okay, it takes a parameter self indicating that this function is for object. This function is for object, that's it. But we don't provide value for self. Okay, self is first value and it has its default value. Okay, it knows, okay, you're calling self, so it has to be object level. That's it. We don't provide anything for self. Now I say s1.printinfo. Okay, you run it. Okay, I am being called. You see, the method is called here. Okay. Good so far? See, if you have understood this, 50% of class and objects you have understood. Okay. This is the key to understand. Okay. Now I'll show you, how this function can maintain uniqueness. Okay. So what I am going to do here, I'm going to take one parameter here. Okay. I'm going to say name. Okay. I'm going to say name. Okay. The name, it is expecting us to pass to this variable here. So when I call it, it says, okay, print info missing one required positional argument name. It is expecting name, but we are not passing. Okay. So let's say we pass name. Let's say I pass Lakshman. Sorry, Lakshman. So now name becomes Lakshman. Now this name is object level or class level. I want this name to be object level. S1 student's name is Lakshman. Okay. And if I create S2, it could be Sachin Tendulkar, right? Or it could be Rahul Dravid, anything, right? So, but this is your student one and name is Lakshman. So I need to use this for object. Okay. So to create a class level variable, I will use something called as, okay, not here, self dot name equal to name. So this name is being called from, okay, or from this function here. But this name is a variable for the object, okay, for that specific object which is calling it. Okay, so now when I go and let's say this name is there, right? Now let's say I create one more student. Okay, I create one more student called, let's say, S2, right? I will call one more, we'll create one more. Okay, S1 student Lakshman, S2 equal to student, and I'm going to say S2 dot print name. Let's say I call it as Rahul Dravid. Okay, let's say I call it as S3, and I say here Zahir Khan, let's say. Okay, and I'm going to say S4, and let's say I call it as Ashish Nehra, let's say. Okay, so I've created 4 different objects and I have called this, all fine. Okay, now for I have to call print info, right? Okay, what happened? Why only one time this is called? Print info, right? It should be called 4 times. Yes, now it is actually created, right? 4 times it is called. Now I'm going to add one more function to it. Okay, and what I'll do here, okay, print info. Okay, now I'm going to add one more function here called display name or something like this. Okay, self, for that it is an object. Now I'm saying print name is self dot name. Now you see, I'm saying self dot name, but from where will it get self dot name? I'm not passing any value to it. I'm directly printing it. Okay, now let's say, okay, I'm going to say s2 dot display name. See the interesting, this is the interesting thing. Okay, I've added s1, s2, s3, s4 object I've created. Okay, simple, we say object name equal to class name bracket open and close, object created, done. Now I'm calling print info, and print info I'm passing name and I'm saving as self dot name. I'm saving as self dot name, done. So all 4 values are saved, done. Next, now I'm calling s2 dot display name. Display name just says name is self dot name. Name is self dot name. But I'm saying s2 dot display name. Okay. If I say s2 dot display name, which name will be displayed here? See, s2 takes Rahul Dravid, right? And this is being added to self dot name. So when you call display name, it sees which object is calling. Which object is calling? Okay, this is being called by s2. So what is the s name or self name? Name in s2. Name in s2 is Rahul Dravid. So it will display Rahul Dravid here. It knows how to link, right? So now let's say if I ask everybody your name, you tell me your name, right? Now what happens? I know everybody's name. So I can pick one and say, okay, you tell me. Okay. Kasi Lakshmi, you tell me. Shakil, you tell me, right? I can, if I know your name, I can call by your name, and the name and the face is matched, isn't it? So similarly, when I say s2 dot, okay, first case in print info, I'm adding the name. So I'm associating an object with a value. I'm saying s2 dot, okay, print this print info, and there I'm associating, isn't it? Self dot name. So I'm asking you what's your name. That's what it means. Once I know your name, then next time onwards I can directly call you. I will not get confused. Everybody has a unique name, so I will not get confused, right? This is what is happening here. Okay, so if you say s2, okay, it knows, okay, s2 had Rahul Dravid, so that is what the name should be. Yes, this is how class and objects are used. Okay, of course we can build very good projects. In fact, from now on you should learn to use class and objects. Anything that you do, even adding a simple number, should be done from class and objects, now that you know. Okay, so how do we do class and objects? Adding 2 numbers. Okay, how do we add 2 numbers? So let me write a class, and okay, let me move this to, okay, now coming to this. Okay, I'm going to create a class for calculations. I'll call it calculations. Okay, so class calculations, done. Now I'm going to write a here, I'll write a simple function which will read the value first, which will read two values. And then we'll write function for addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. Okay. So I'm going to, write a method for, for getting the value, right? So I'm going to say def get value. Okay. I'm saying get value. Perfect. Now I'm using self dot num1 equal to 34. Self dot num2 equal to 21. Self dot num1 equal to 34. Self dot num2 equal to 21. This is called get value. Or if you want to, pass from main, right? So I'll say a comma b. Okay, we don't want to do it here. We'll pass from main function. Okay, fine. As you say, we'll say a and we'll say b here. Okay, so you've got get value here. Okay, where I'm assigning value to num1 and num2. Now I'm going to write a function here. Def add values. Okay, so this is a function which adds value. Okay, and it simply does what it creates. And it just prints. Okay, sum of two numbers are. Okay, and I say here self dot num1 plus self dot num2. Def multiply. Okay. Print multiplication of two numbers is simply self dot num1 into self dot num2. Perfect, right? So we have created a class, and in class I'm writing one function, one method which will read the value, okay, for a and b. Now I'm writing, of a method, okay, which will add two numbers and display their, okay, value. Okay, great. So I'm going to create an object called C1, and I'm saying C1 equal to calculations. Perfect. And I'm saying C1 dot get value, okay, equal to, let's say, 21 and 34. And I'm going to say C1 dot multiple values. So now when I run, multiplication number is 21 and 34 is 714, right? So we got 714 here. Multiplication knows, okay, since I'm being called by C1, I have to look at C1's, num1 and num2. Okay, not any generic, but value which is specific to that object. Not specific to the class, but specific to the object. Okay, so you get multiple values here like this. Okay, now this is it. Now let's say I create another object C2. Guys, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. Okay, I will see and I will try to answer. Okay, but if you are getting it, that also you put yes, 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 so that I know, okay, you're watching and you have no questions. Okay, now I'm going to create C2. C2 equal to calculations. Okay, and I'm going to say C2 dot add values. Okay, C1 equal to calculations. Okay, but here I'm creating C2 equal to calculations just like C1, and I'm saying C2 dot values. When I say C2 dot values, what does that mean? I want to add the values. Now I will run it. What happened? First one is fine. Okay, multiplication, we gave the number. Second one, we did not give the value. So when it is trying to add self num1, num2, it says it has no attribute num1, num2. Why? Because we did not call get value, right? So we need to call get value, only then you can add, isn't it? So you can say before calling this thing, C2 dot, okay, get values. Okay, 6 comma, let's say 8. Okay, so this is all good. Right? Okay. But what was the problem? Okay, when we did not try to, when we did not call get value, we did not had value for, we did not had values for, two numbers here. So we have to call this value. Okay. Now think like this. Every kind of operations, whether you are doing addition, whether you are doing, any printing or any work, you need some input values, isn't it? Maybe 90% of the time you will use the values, input values. So if you anyway, you'll be using 90% of the times values to perform any logic, right? I mean, without any input values, how can you perform any logic? You will need some value. So what it says is, when you create an object, why don't you automatically call the get values? See, anyway, get value means what? This class is asking for, give me the values. And then you do whatever you want. You want sum or multiplication, you can do it whatever you want. But first you need values for anything that you want to do, you need to get values, isn't it? So one option is that you create a get values and you add get value, conditions, and then every time you're creating object, these two lines will go together. But if you forget, like me last time when I forgot, you will get error. So what Python says is, if you anyway have to create get values, okay, because every logic, every method needs some values, why don't we automate it? Why don't we automatically call it? Okay, call what? Get method. You don't have to specifically create the input values and then pass on to the object. Instead, okay, the class itself will automatically call for the object. Sorry, class will automatically call for the input values when you create the object. Okay, input values when you create the object, so that the values can be associated with that object. Okay, so okay, we have this method called as init underscore underscore init underscore 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 underscore. Okay, this is the method. This method, okay, we have to define, of course, okay, because we need to create logic, right? So we need to define in the class definition, but we don't have to define in our main program when we are calling. We don't have to do that. Okay, it is automatically done. Okay, so how do we use it? Any questions so far? Okay, I'm asking you any question because this is little tricky, and I tell you, it is not difficult. If you understand it, then you can program like a professional. Okay, with less number code. The purpose of class is that we need to have less number of code. Okay, very less number of code, you can build very good applications. Okay, okay, so now let's see how unit is done. So what it says is, we will call automatically you don't have to call it. Okay, even without you call it, we will handle your calling. Okay, even when you don't call it, we will call it on your behalf. That's what it says. So we don't have to call init in our main program. Init is called automatically whenever we create or try to create an object. Okay, so great. So now in this case, get value we don't have to call because the calculations will handle it. But how will calculations handle it? It says you pass directly to the class here. When you pass directly to the class, it is assigned to the init function. It is assigned to the init function. Where is the init function? You can add init function anywhere, but within the main class, isn't it? So I'm going to say def space underscore underscore double underscore. Okay, these are double underscore. Okay, it means inbuilt function. It has its own logic. Okay, underscore underscore init underscore, anything with starting with underscore ending with underscore means it's an internal process or function or whatever you call it. Okay, so all the inbuilt ones will have under double underscore, so you can easily differentiate whether this function which I'm writing in it, is it user defined, which somebody has written, or it is written pre-built by the computer developer, right? So you say init underscore underscore init means by developer. Okay, now init. Okay, and I'm going to say a comma b, and here I'm going to do same exactly what get value does. Okay, so see, get value and init does exactly same thing. Okay, but the advantage is, okay, get value we have to call it to initialize, and init if you do, automatically it is done, it is initialized. You don't even have to go and tell them, right? So now here I'm saying init. Okay, and now I go here and I say calculation 6 8 add values. I will easily get 6 plus 8, which is 14. Now there is an error here. What is the error? Required position argument. Yes. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Urgent call. 1 second. Sorry, guys. Okay. So yes. So what is the error? It says init missing two required position argument A and B. Okay. So here also, right? Here also we have to give this. So I'm going to say 21 comma 34, and I'm going to comment this out. Get value not required now. Instead of get value, we have init, which is automatically doing our job. We don't even have to call it. Okay, so at the time of creating an object, you pass the values which init need, because we don't call init specifically, right? We can't, it is called automatically. So somehow we have to give the values, isn't it? Somehow we have to give values. So it is given values at the time of creating an object. That's the advantage of using init. You save some line of code here also. Okay, because you don't have to call. You simply pass the values to the class name here. And now when I run it, okay, see 714 and 6 plus 8 14, both of them are giving correct answer like it was doing before. With making of init 1, we are handling all the initialization. Init stands for initialization, all the values here. Okay, and you don't have to specifically call to assign, because one, it is an extra line of code. Second, if you forget to call, your whole program will become error, right? You do not get the input. So you can't perform addition, you can't perform multiplication, you can't perform something else. It will go on. Now you are taking, say, you are writing an init function. Init, as I said, stands for initialization, saying, okay, all the variables that you will be using in future, you put it in the init. Let's pass all the values to the init. Okay, so that init has all the inbuilt values, and then you simply call and run when you want to. Okay, this is true only with init, not with any other method. Long concept, but very easy concept. Okay, and it will make your life very easy if you follow it. Yes, great. Okay, so I have created a init function, and as I said, init function is called init function because it is called automatically. The values are initialized automatically. Okay. Okay. And then you can add these methods which will perform. Okay, it's taking num1, num2 and using it, okay, without any problem. Okay, so let's say we'll do one program. We will write a class called student. Okay, and it will take the input of all the students, and then we'll add few methods to it. Okay, okay, let's do it and see. So I'm going to put it here. Let's say I'm creating a class called students, right? And I'm going to create an init function here. Okay, and here I'm initializing the class. I'm going to see here. Oh, you have to initialize things which are fixed. Okay, like name, maybe marks may not be a good idea to initialize here. Things like name, mobile number, email ID, these things will not get changed. But if you talk about marks, you can have marks for quarterly, half yearly, annual, midterm, end term, all those things. So it is very difficult to have one variable for all of these, isn't it? So that's not a good idea. Things which generally will stay same till your objects are created. Okay. So here I'm going to say def init, and I'm going to say self dot name equal to name. So I'm going to provide name, say roll number, let's say grade, right? And email ID. Okay. Let's say I put email ID, isn't it? Okay. So I'm going to create local object related variables for all of these. Okay. And say self dot roll number equal to roll number, self dot grade equal to grade, self dot email equal to email. Okay, this is fine. Now we'll write another function which will find grade for us. Okay, so calculate grade. Okay, how do you calculate grade? Let's write a function to calculate average first. Okay, so to calculate average, okay, we'll say def. Okay, so let's say average and grade is something which is common, right? So I can say self dot avg. Okay, and since you don't know the average in the beginning, right, because it will coming, see, when you're registering a student, you know the name, roll number, grade, all those things, but you don't know the average. Average will come later, isn't it? So I'll just define it here. Self dot average equal to 0. Okay, self dot grade equal to z. Okay, so that we know later that if it is z, that means the value is still the old default one. So I'm adding some default values. Default values for, okay, now not available types. Okay, okay, so here also I'm adding default values. Okay, so def calculate average, right? Calc average. Okay, here I'm not taking anything. I'm going to write my own loop here, right? So I'll say sum equal to 0. Sum is a temporary variable, not an object specific. I want temp to be destroyed within this method. So that's why I'm not putting it as self dot. Okay, I don't want to use this again, so I'm not saying it as self dot. Okay, so you have this, and then I'm going to say self dot. Okay, now if you want to store values, you can store, but let's say for now I don't want to store. Okay, so I'll simply say for I in range 3, okay, 3 subjects, m equal to int of input, enter marks. Okay, and I'm going to say sum plus equal to m. So it's like saying sum equal to sum plus 1, right? Sum equal to sum plus m. You can write like this. If you have sum equal to sum plus m, right? So these variables are same, right? I am changing the same variable into which I'm saving. Sum equal to sum plus. So it says if you're doing it, you can say, since these are common, just remove one of these here, not required. Okay, when you don't give, Python knows, okay, you're not giving, that means you want to use the left side variable. And then you interchange the sign. Plus equal to becomes equal to, plus becomes plus equal to. That's what I did here. Okay, so sum equal to sum. So end of the for loop, you have your sum value. Now I'm going to assign self dot average. Self dot average equal to sum by 3. So now calculate average is done. Now I can say def here. Def calculate grade. Okay, calculate grade. I don't need anything. Simply I'll say if self dot avg is greater than 80. I'm writing an old logic. Okay, then you say self dot grade equal to A. Right? Now I'm going to say elif, elif greater than 70, you say grade equal to B. Elif 50 D elif, right? And finally, oops, and finally, else I'm saying self dot grade equal to, okay, E. Okay, I've written this logic now, right? Grade, I'm writing twice, okay. This I meant class, let's say. Okay, so saying grade, I'll say class. Okay, class is a keyword, you can't use class. Okay. I will say phone number, okay. Let it be phone. Okay. Now I need to add these three values. When I create an object, I have to use these three values, right? Done. So I'm going to create an object here. Student1 equal to, what is the student, right? Students. And I need to pass 1, 2, 3, 4 values, isn't it? So I'm going to say name Sachin Tendulkar, roll number 103, phone 98989898989898. Email ID Sachin at tendulkar.com. Okay. So that means when I call this S1, automatically it means that okay, S1 object is created and we have assigned the minimum values. Now if I say S1 dot grade, right? Okay, I want to print the grade here. So I'll say print grade of S1 dot name. Okay, okay, is S1 dot grade. Okay, so see, I have not calculated the grade yet. I have not asked for this, but we have a default value, isn't it? Grade of Sachin Tendulkar is Z because we have created grade. And so two things here. One, by creating, we're making sure that error is not created, isn't it? Because if you get error, your program stops abruptly. You don't know why it stopped. It stops abruptly. So that's why it is not a good idea to give errors. Okay. So that's why I did not give error. So I know the grade value is wrong. Okay. And but at least your program is running. Point one. True. Now, second thing here is, okay, I have this default value grade Z. You know that, okay, grade Z is not possible. You have only grade till E. You don't have other than E. So if you have got A, B, C, D or E, you wouldn't have got doubt. But when you see grade is Z, that is something is wrong. You'll go, oh no, I did not calculate this, calculate score, isn't it? So by looking at this wrong grade, you can go back and fix it. How do you fix it? By calculating grade, isn't it? To calculate grade, you have to calculate, first you have to calculate average, and then you have to calculate grade, isn't it? So I'm going to calculate first the grade, sorry, the average. So I'm going to say S1 dot calculate average. Okay. The moment I call this average, it will automatically call me enter marks in 3 subjects, isn't it? So enter marks, I say 78, 87, 59. You get Marks is 59, but still grade is Z because we have not called the grade, right? So now I'm going to say S1 dot calculate grade. Now when you run it, of course, I need to enter marks. So 56, 68, 79. Okay, grade of Sachin Tendulkar is C. So this is how you can create an object and call these values. Beauty is we didn't have to pass the name and all those things. Sachin Tendulkar, grade of Sachin Tendulkar is coming from different function, average coming from different function, grade is coming from different function. All these are working without any linkage between them. And they are linked because they are in the same class. Otherwise, you see, am I passing any value to it? No. Is calculating grade taking any value from calculating average? No. This is independent function. This is independent. They do not talk. But still they're able to manage the numbers between them, share the difference, share the numbers between them. They're still able to do that because they're part of same group or same class. Okay. They're able to do that because they belong to same class and they will have access to their private object members. Okay. I can create multiple objects here, right? Just like I did Sachin Tendulkar, I can create one for let's say I call S2 as say Suresh Raina, let's say. Nine. And I put S Raina at nilgo.com, let's say. Okay. So it is not affecting the S1. S1 will, be remain independent of S2. Okay. But yes, we can call both or either one of them or none of them. It's our wish. Okay. It doesn't mean that they will be linked and you have to call them together. No. Okay. They can be different and you can call them whenever you want to. Okay. So this is how a class is created and object is created and class objects we can call together. We'll stop here. Okay. Okay. Please practice, guys. Okay. Let me know when we meet tomorrow. You can ask, you can tell me if you have any questions. Otherwise, we will continue with further classes, right? Right? Okay, guys. Any question? All good? So we'll end it here. You have a good Friday. Tomorrow we'll meet. We'll continue. So today our focus was just to see what class is, what object is, how to create class, how to create object, how to add members to the class which are of object. So we have only seen members, both variables, okay, self average, self dot grade. These are members of class, okay, which are for object, right? And we have seen three init function. We have seen init functions are called automatically. Okay, when we create an object. What is init function? Function that is called automatically when we create an object is called init function. What is the use? It is used to initialize values. You do so that all the values that you want to initialize in the beginning, just go ahead and do it so that you don't have to call it again or run it again. Hope it makes sense, everyone. Okay. So tomorrow when we meet, we will take same example. Okay. This example I'll say we'll take same example. and to this we will add class specific members. So we will add variables and methods which are for class. Class means which are common for all the members of the class, which are common for everyone. Okay, that's what we will do in the next class. Okay, so till then, have a good evening and have a good day tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time, everyone. Okay, take care. Bye.